Hey everyone, so this video was highly requested when I made a comment on friendly ex-Muslim Abdullah Samir video on why Islam doesn't benefit women, something along those lines. And I shared my story, about me being ex-Muslim and going through two Islamic marriages. In fact, I'm having a hard time getting out of one of them right now. Um, so yeah, let's just get into it. Again, my name is Coach Aaliyah. I am a transformational nutrition coach, life coach, mental wellness coach, and eating disorder recovery coach. And I'm also ex-Muslim. I'm also someone who's going through eating disorder recovery in a plus size body. So like I said, if this content is, you know, something relevant to you or you're interested, please consider liking and subscribing to my channel. Thank y'all. So I have my notebook here because I have some notes so I don't go off track on what I want to share. So let's get into it. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is how I grew up. Um, and I'm just going to try to make this as concise as possible because my childhood was really, really traumatic and just really, y'all will hear the story in a second. So the way that I grew up, I did not grow up in a normal family. Okay. Again, I grew up Muslim. And even from a young age, I don't know, I always doubted Islam. I always had this like doubt about it. I always had questions about it because there was things in Islam that just never made sense to me. Like, why can the man marry four wives? Why can't the woman do it? Why can't the woman be polyamorous? I mean, like, or why can they marry non-Muslims? But the woman is, constricted to only marrying a Muslim guy. What about like hijab? Like, I mean, there were so many questions that I had. And of course, you're not, well, they say you're allowed, but you're not really allowed to question the religion. So, anyways, I grew up in a really toxic, really dysfunctional family. My family, all of them were narcissists, lucky me. And they all had mental health issues that they refused to, a lot of them refused to even acknowledge or even get help for. So from a young age, I was always very different. And I always felt like my family, from a very young age, none of them ever really liked me. And I always felt like I never belonged. So again, there was narcissistic abuse, there was the toxic family, there was also that religious abuse, spiritual abuse. I was also sexually abused by an extended family member. I went through a lot in this family. And it was just, I mean, I always knew my family was off. When you're younger, you can't really identify it. When you're older, you're like, oh, that's what it was. You're older, you're out of that situation, you can figure out what it was. So again, there was never a lot of love from my mom. Her love was very conditional. Oh, if you do this for me, okay, then I'll show you some love. My siblings, I'm the youngest of four. My siblings left the house, so I was stuck with my mom at a very young age. My parents were divorced. Again, they were married, divorced, like multiple times, going through the court system. Growing up really sucked. Like, I hated my life as a child. Even in my 20s, like, I really hated my life. And plus you're Muslim, so if essentially they want to control you and you're trapped, you can't be your authentic self. So that's how I grew up. I really hated life. So also the sense of belonging. I never felt like I belonged. Like in my family, I never felt like I belonged. In the school system, I never felt like I belonged as well because I was always different. I was, to myself, I didn't talk a lot. I I was shy, I was introverted. I also grew up overweight my entire life, like literally since I was a kid. I've always been overweight, so that also, affected my self-confidence at a younger age. So again, I felt that sense of not belonging. Even when I, went and I worked, I always felt that sense of not belonging as well because I don't want to participate in these stupid office politics. Like, they're so stupid. Come on now. I just want to do my work and go home. But y'all know that's not the way corporate America works. I'm going to make another video on that as well, on office politics and corporate America. But essentially, to make a really long story short, that's how I grew up. So I was always bullied at school. I was bullied at home. Since like I felt like I didn't belong anywhere, even within the Muslim community. I didn't belong because I had these like feelings and questions about Islam from a young age, and I always felt like I didn't belong within the Muslim community. I also grew up Egyptian in the United States. Even with the Egyptian people, I always felt like I didn't belong because, my Arabic it's all right. I mean, it's not great, but obviously, when I speak Arabic, I have an accent. So I just felt like I never really belonged in this world. That's going to be another video as well as not belonging and what to do and how to cope with not belonging. So essentially, that's how I grew up. Very, very toxic. Um, and my dad was polygamous as well. So seeing his multiple wives and seeing my mom cry would break my heart. My mom died a year ago. May she rest in peace. It took me a whole year to forgive her for everything that she's done to me, but I forgive her. I love her, and I could also make a video on that too. I'm telling y'all, I got lots of videos for y'all coming up. So, this is how I grew up. How Islam constricted me. Ooh, woman. If you're a Muslim woman, you already know what time it is. I actually wanted to be a dancer when I was younger. And I know there's different interpretations. I grew up Sunni Muslim, and my family was really strict, so I couldn't dance. I mean, music, once in a while, we listened to music, but not really. And I just couldn't dance. And I had given up on that dream like a really long time ago. But it's funny now, as an adult, as someone who's almost 40, I'm actually now getting into like dancing. I'm actually going to take some singing lessons soon. So that dream will be fulfilled, fulfilling my inner child. But anyways, I wanted to be a dancer, couldn't do it. Okay. I actually at one point wanted to be a doctor. And of course, Muslims love, doctors. Doctors are good for society. But, with the toxic family, I was told I was too stupid to be a doctor. Gave up on that dream as well. So it constricted me in a lot of ways. Like, I felt like I couldn't be my authentic self. I didn't want to wear hijab, you know? I wanted to dress a certain way. I wanted to wear makeup. I wanted to do things. I wanted to be normal. I don't want to be home at like 8 or 9 o'clock. I wanted to stay out. I wanted to have fun. At one point, I wanted to date. And you can't do any of that in a Muslim household. Like, do you just control everything you're wearing? Where you're going. You have to let your parents know where you're going at all times. And it's a really terrible way to live. And I hate being controlled. Like, I hate when someone controls me because, I mean, I want to be free. I want to be my authentic self. So Islam did not allow me to be my authentic self. And I know some of the Muslims are probably going to come in and be like, well, that's culture. That's not Islam. No, it's a combination of both culture and Islam. Yes, the Egyptian culture I felt like constricted me, but Islam definitely played a role. Because if you look at the Quran, a woman cannot do a lot of things that men can do. Women do not have a lot of the rights that men have. I'm not going to be quoting Quran or Hadith. There's a lot of other channels that do a really great job at that. Frankly, that's not my passion. I really don't want to be going through the Quran and dissecting. I don't, ugh, that's not me. So I can link other channels down below if you want to check that out. Okay. Next and third point, marriages. This one was a big one because I commented on Friendly Ex-Muslims video. Okay. So I was married 2 times. Okay. The first time I was married to my son's father, who's Egyptian and Muslim. I have one kid. I don't want any more. But anyways, that marriage didn't last long. It lasted about a year and a half, I would say. And I went through a lot of narcissistic, emotional, and mental abuse in that marriage. And at one point, I just couldn't take it anymore. And to make a long story short, I left that marriage. Again, there is a role I believe we all play in the marriage. Me and him had no business getting married. I had no business getting married. What I really needed to do at that time was find a way to get out of the house, work, be independent, and heal. That's really what I needed to do. Not be married, but when you're a Muslim, that's the way to really get out is through marriage. And so I wanted to be married and get out, but don't do that, y'all, because let's say you're trapped in this toxic Muslim household. Trust me, marriage is not the way out. Marriage is going to present a different set of problems. And let's say you get pregnant. Then you're stuck with a different set of problems. Plus, you're stuck with a kid. Plus, you're going to have to like deal with your ex, and you're going to have to deal with the court system and child support. And I'm telling y'all, avoid that if you can. Avoid that if you can. Okay. So then a couple years later, I met my second husband through my father. Excuse me. He was overseas in Egypt. Make a long story short, I went there, we got married, stayed there for a little bit, came back to the States, and was applying for his papers. Okay. So during this time, this was almost, I would say, a year and a half to 2 years. We were, talking, and I noticed that whenever I would call him or try to, get him to communicate with me, I wouldn't hear from him for weeks at a time. And this became a recurrent pattern of me not hearing from him. Come on, we're in two different countries. We need to communicate. Like, we already have the distance, we already don't physically see each other. We need to communicate. So basically, to make a long story short, it was very obvious he just wanted to come for papers. And no offense, y'all, if you want to come for papers, I wish you were honest with me from the very beginning. And, like, just not, deceive me and marry me and basically waste my time. And that's the one thing I absolutely despise. I don't like dishonest people. I really don't. I like people who are straightforward and tell me to my face like it is, even if it's something I don't want to hear. So finally, I'm just like, hey, you're not communicating with me. This isn't working. It's obvious you're only in this for, papers. Again, I wish you were honest with me from the very beginning. Hey, I'm sorry, but I gotta go. I'm not doing this anymore. We did not have any kids together. We didn't have property or anything like that together. So I canceled, the papers with, I forget what these people are called, but with the government, and begged him to give me a divorce. I even offered money for him to get me a divorce. Because if y'all get married in a Muslim country, for a woman, it is extremely difficult to get a divorce. If a guy says he wants to get divorced, it's easy. Literally, I think in a month or two, he's divorced. With a woman, nah, it's not like that at all. I mean, you have to go through a process to get divorced. And a lot of times, you, they inconvenience you. You'll have to go to the country and stay there for a while and go through the court system. And the divorce, it just takes a while to get. It's extremely annoying, extremely inconvenient. And so I would advise women, if y'all met a Muslim man at, I don't know, whatever Middle Eastern country, think twice, y'all. Think twice before marrying him, because let's say if you do marry this man, I'm telling y'all, men have so many rights that women do not have in these Islamic countries. It's not like being married in the States or, Europe, Australia, where, at least the woman has rights. The man have all the rights, and it's easy for them to get divorced, and it's easy for them to have second and third and fourth wives on you. So think really, really carefully before, you get married over there in the Middle East, because if you want to get out, it's so hard. I'm telling you, it's so freaking hard. I'm currently trying to get out of my marriage. Me and him have not talked to each other since 2019. So that's 4 years of being separated, not talking at all, not financially supporting me, like nothing. And it has taken me time to find a lawyer, to get my power of attorney through the embassy, which has been a severe pain in the butt, and getting this divorce going. So I would advise y'all very strongly to please think about it. If you are thinking about marrying a man in the Middle East, please, 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 I'm begging y'all to think about it carefully, because international marriage, also Middle Eastern marriage, is recognized everywhere. It's an international marriage, it's recognized everywhere. I'm in the United States and they recognize my marriage, which really sucks because at this point I don't even feel married. So I know this is long, but let's see. So the next point I wanted to make, hold on, let me get my notebook, y'all. So we talked about my marriages, how I'm still stuck in this second marriage, and why I left Islam. Okay, I've kind of alluded to some of it and talking. Why did I leave Islam? I left Islam, frankly, because I intuitively don't feel like it's the right religion. That's it. I don't feel like it's the right religion. I feel like it's a religion that traps me from being my authentic self. And it's a religion used to control women and used to, and I call it Islam because frankly, it benefits the men. I can see why men convert to Islam because, they could get the little harem on with their multiple wives and, go to multiple women, which that gets old after a while, men. If there's any man watching this channel and y'all are thinking of polygamy, let me tell y'all this, because my dad was polygamous. It's exciting for a while to, go to, I got this woman, oh, I got this woman, oh, I got this woman, and, spend a night with this woman. He got all these women in rotation. It gets real, y'all. What if they all get pregnant? What if they all get their cycles at the same time? What if they're all pissed off at you? I'm telling y'all, man, it's work. It's a lot more work than frankly, like, it's worth, honestly. And then you gotta have money to support these women. And a lot of these guys don't have money to support multiple wives. Like, come on now. But anyways, I digressed. So basically, that's why I left Islam. I don't feel like it's the right religion for me. I don't feel like it's for me. I don't feel like it's a modern religion for the times. Um, but I do believe in a higher power. Personally, I believe in a higher power. I'm not an atheist, and I am exploring other religions and belief systems. I haven't found the one that's for me yet. And so, if you are considering leaving Islam, my advice to y'all is to consult with your intuition, to pray, not the Muslim prayer, pray the way that you feel is right for you, and explore other religions. That's it, honestly. And if you have questions, you're allowed to have questions. A lot of Muslims will say, no, you just have to believe. No, you have the right to ask questions. You have the right to watch these other videos. You have a right to think critically. You have a right to consult with your own intuition. So, so some solutions. I kind of talked about this all throughout the video, but solutions would be, let's say you're trapped in a Muslim household, okay? And I know in some places you can't get out till like you're 18, or maybe you're unemployed and you're living in this toxic household. Try to save up money to leave. And again, if you have to get odd jobs, you're unemployed. I mean, what I had to do at one point is I worked for Uber Eats. I worked for all these like delivery companies, and that's how I made money at one point. And if that's something that y'all have to do, I mean, there's no shame in that. There's no shame in working the gig economy and working these odd jobs to make ends meet. Do what you gotta do without it being illegal, of course. And so, how do you cope being in a toxic household? What I did is I would find like a sacred space. And I'm sorry, I think my ring light moved, so I apologize for that. But find a sacred space and try to do what you can to make yourself happy in that space. Some people like to draw, some people like to sing, some people like to dance. Um, maybe you like to color in your coloring book, maybe you like crossword puzzles, maybe you like math problems, Sudoku. I mean, there's so many things. That's what I would do is find a sacred space in the house, and it doesn't have to be a big space. Make yourself happy and just try to be out of the house as much as possible. And then at the same time, just try to save up some money to leave. Easier said than done, but that was something that I had to do for years. But I'm telling y'all, it is worth it. Once you get out of that household, I'm telling y'all, life will change for the better. And then in terms of, excuse me, y'all, marriages. Let's say you're gonna marry a Muslim man in the United States. I believe there's like an Islamic contract. It's been a while since I've been married. Put all your terms in a contract or get a prenuptial agreement. That's what I would suggest to every single woman. Um, because you do not want to be screwed over just in case it doesn't work out. And keep in mind, Islam gives men a lot more rights than women. You got to protect yourself. If you're considering marrying a brother overseas, please, please, I've said it a million times, I'm going to say it again. Please think about the decision very carefully because once you are in the marriage, it is hard as heck to get out. And it's an inconvenience to get out, and you're going to have to pay a lot of money to get out. Unfortunately, yeah, I don't like, when I discuss marriage, I don't like to discuss divorce, but divorce is a very real thing these days, especially since the religion gives the men so many rights. And like I said in a comment, it does make men emotionally immature. It makes them selfish. It makes them narcissistic. It makes them emotionally stunted. I'm gonna say it. And it's not right. It's not right for us to be trapped and these men could do what they want to do. Okay. And another thing, let's say you're a Muslim woman, you want to marry a Muslim man. Let's say you have kids, like me, I have a kid, I'm a mother. I'm not saying it's impossible, but a lot of Muslim men, especially, don't want to marry women with children. A lot of these men want the best of the best. And again, I believe everybody has a right to what they want. But you have to be realistic too. What do you have to offer this woman who is the best of the best? I mean, you have to look at yourself too at the end of the day. Do some self-reflection. And I'll be honest, Muslim men didn't really want me. I mean, the only reason why I married my first husband, literally I got kicked out of the house and I had nowhere else to go and he was there and we got married. That's literally how we got married. It wasn't out of love, it wasn't out of anything like that. In fact, we didn't even want to marry each other, but I guess he felt sorry for me, took me in, and we got married. What a great way to start a relationship. Okay, so just keep that in mind, y'all. At the end of the day, please protect yourselves and do what's best for you. Because as a Muslim woman, there is a lot at stake for y'all to give up being married and being in the house. So do what's best for y'all at the end of the day. If y'all have any questions or if you want me to comment on something, maybe I didn't make sense in something, you want me to make another video, please comment down below. Please consider liking and subscribing to my channel. I will probably make more videos, about this in the future because religious trauma and spiritual abuse is something that I want to help with. It's very, very important. I don't feel like there's a lot of people doing this work that's helping. But in a context, I also want to talk about disordered eating. So I'm also going to make a video one day, I don't know when, talking about religious fasting and disordered eating. So I made a brief video on that on my Instagram. And yeah, these Muslim men were after me. So, and if you are a Muslim guy watching this, I don't think all Muslim men are bad. I just think that there's too much privilege that you'll have that honestly can get abused and can be used against women. And it's sad. So yeah, consider liking, consider subscribing to my channel. And yeah, if you want to work with me one-on-one in coaching, I give a free 15-minute consultation. I will link that down below as well. Love y'all. Bye.